Hi everyone, this is Francesco Lacriola for runitoonce.com. Today I wanted to try a new format, a more interactive one, in which I will ask you questions and you are going to answer. But in order to make it more interesting for you and more beneficial for your learning, I decided not to go for multiple choice answers. Instead, you will have to go for long and argumentative answers that will guarantee you a deeper understanding of the topic, forcing you to think deeply about what we're going to discuss. Questions are gonna range from practical situations to theoretical ones, and we're going to see a different variety of situations and on different streets. So we're gonna have pre-flop questions, turn questions, bluff catching questions, etc. But now let's get started. Once I will ask you the question, I will stop talking for a few seconds. I strongly recommend you to pause the video during that pause, and after that I will give you the answer for the question. So it will not be full questionnaire first and then all the answers, but the answers will be in between each question. So please be aware to pause the video and give yourself some time to actually think about the end or the situation. And there's no time limit. You can think how much time you want. Just try to come up with the most reasoning you can to prove your point. So let's get started. The first spot, it starts with an under the gun open from a tight regular. We're playing 6 max, no limit, and UTG opens to 3 big blind. Everyone else fold. We have pocket deuces on the button. Please describe why this is not always a call and what factors allow us to profitably VPIP the end. I will give you a few seconds to pause the video. Please pause the video now. Okay, and now we're going to see the answer. So this is not always a call. One strong factor is the high risk of being squeezed out of the pot by the blinds, especially if they are aggressive regular. The fact that villain open to 3 big blind means that we have to risk 3 big blinds to call. And so the pot is going to be juicier to pick up with a squeeze. It's going to be a quite profitable squeeze opportunity if the button calls a range which is too wide, and if the under the gun regular defends extremely tight against the squeeze. Also, we have to consider that if we're playing against regulars and against tighter ranges, we're going to have some sort of reverse implied odds when we make our set. We're never going to make the nuts, and people are not going to overplay top pairs or over pairs if they are somewhat skilled. So also this becomes especially significant if we call a squeeze, and the risk of being in a set over set scenario increases dramatically. So it's not a situation we want to be in. Not to mention the hand doesn't play really well post flop. It plays mostly for set value, and also we have to consider that the fact that we hold 2 deuces have a significant blocker effect on the hands that are automatically going to fold from small blind and the big blind. Let's think hands like 7 deuce off, 8 deuce off, 9 deuce off, 10 deuce off. They are all in the trashier portion of the other player's range. Therefore, the frequency we are going to face a squeeze is going to increase, because if we blockers so much the crappy portion of other player's range, then the frequency that we're gonna face an overcall or a 3-bet dramatically increases. Also, the opening size is a factor. This might become a higher frequency call if UTG opens to something like 2.2 big blinds, because of course we're getting better odds. Squeezing is not that much appealing of a play because there's less dead money into the pot. And also we just have to invest less to hit our hand. Also, the main condition that allows us to profitably VPIP a very weak pair, or the weakest of the pocket pairs, is having a big blind or also small blind, which is a weak recreational player and who is prone to call down with top pair hands or put a lot of money in the pot with weak draws or weak pairs. So we just want basically a player that allows us to maximize our value when we hit a set. Well, if we hit a set against a very tight under the gun player, we're not gonna stack him. Actually, if we try to play for stack, the chance that we are going to face a set over set scenario is quite high. This is spot number 2, and it gets folded to us on the button. We open to 2.5 big blind and a regular on the big blind flats. The flop comes 9-6-2 rainbow. I want you to debate what kind of c-bet strategy to use and whether it makes sense to consider using more bet sizes. I want also that you list the implications of going for a single c-bet strategy or a multiple bet sizing. So please pause the video now. And actually this is a very interesting spot because it's quite a dynamic board. We have a significant range advantage compared to the big blind. And it really makes a lot of sense to use 2 bet sizes here. If you think about it, we have several top pair hands, and top pairs just benefit a lot from folding out equity, folding out 2 overcards hands or some sort of ace-high type hands that villain might have. So we'd rather use a bigger bet size. The main risk of using this strategy of 2 bet sizes is to have transparent ranges with both bet sizings, and this is why we need to balance these sizes. So let's say into the smaller bet size we can put some of the strongest hands we hold, which are not vulnerable at all, such as some top sets or aces and kings. Those hands don't really need protection at all, and they also block a portion of villain calling's range, so I think they have a higher EV as small bets, while hands like pocket tens, pocket jacks, or ace 9, king 9 truly benefit from bigger bet sizes. Although you could make a case from including a small percentage of this type of hands into the smaller bet size, and bluffs should be mixed accordingly in the 2 sizes. Also, there are major implications with that. First of all, it's the one I already mentioned. It regards balancing. Also, it's a more complex strategy, so it's going to be quite hard to replicate what the solver does. But also there's another interesting concept, and this concept is that we don't know how villain is truly going to react to multiple sizes. We can have a rough estimate maybe, but if players are not used to such strategies, they're going to improvise and try to defend the best they can from considering what they already know. So while they might know how to properly defend against a small bet size, they might be defending too tightly or too loosely against a bigger one. And this is gonna strongly affect the range they get to the turn. So basically you are going to see how population is reacting against bigger bet sizes and adjust accordingly on later streets. But this does not mean the strategy is not profitable. Basically, if they deviate too much from what they're supposed to be doing, you're going to have a profitable bet with a certain category of hands and a less profitable bet with another one. But it doesn't mean it's theoretically wrong. Actually, what you're doing theoretically makes a lot of sense. And also using a single c-bet strategy is a perfectly viable situation. I mean, if you're theoretical understanding or your theoretical awareness of the game is not that high, I strongly suggest you to not overcomplicate your strategy and to go for an extremely simplified one. And you can perhaps use a full range c-bet strategy with a small bet, or you can use a bigger c-bet balancing a check behind range, depending what you feel you're more comfortable with. All these three strategies are perfectly viable. Actually, the main difference is going to come from how your opponent is going to adjust to what you're doing.